Hello, everyone, and welcome back to In The Crosshairs, your definitive source for sports betting content and game-by-game analysis. As always, I'm your host, Ali Melendez, live from the Line Sniper studio, and of course, on the line today, we have our team of expert analysts here to give us the rundown on all things sports this weekend. So, first up, we're going to have Joey Knish tell us about what's happening in the MLB and give us the final word before the NFL and college football season start off. Then, for a little bit of educational betting action, we've got combat sports expert Dave Milhouse in the house. He's going to explain some of his UFC betting strategy and how to implement that for an MMA card. And then we have Ronnie Parson joining us this week to run down the NBA playoff bracket and, of course, talk about the results of this week's game. So a lot to cover on this edition of In the Crosshairs. And if you miss a moment or just need more of the best sports betting coverage around, check out our YouTube channel at Line Sniper HQ. Everything from best bets to betting tutorials. You can find all of that and so much more right there. But hey, shameless plugs aside, we have a show to go through here, and it is time to get some sports talk already. And of course, to talk about a couple of these sports, we have the commissioner of sports betting himself. It is Mr. Joey Knish here. So Joey, how are you?
Allie, devil in the blue dress today. I'm liking it. I'm ready to go. We got a little MLB. We got my home baby college, my one true love college football back with a little bit of a fuller slate this weekend before the big boys start up. So I'm excited. I'm ready to go.
You better be excited, Joey. We all know that you are America's sports bettor, America's sweetheart in sports. Whatever you put it, that is all the titles you have there. It is in my script, so you know it must be true. That's what they write. That's what I say. So
yeah,
let's get your
take. If you
take.
Want to put it in there too, I understand. No, it's good.
You know what?
It's
just
good.
message us all the titles you want. We'll throw it in for next time. But of course, let's just get your take on America's pastime this week, and let's chat about some baseball. So now, the shortened MLB season is just about at the 40-game mark, and that 16-team playoff is going to become a little bit more fleshed out over the next week or two. But I want to talk about the games going on right now, or at least tonight, and of course this weekend. So we've got Cardinals and Cubs in action. We've got the Padres and Athletics, who are both doing great, facing off, and so much more. So Knish, what is going on for you in the MLB?
Yeah, no, big weekend series here. We got my Padres, my Friars, the hometown. We were on them early. We were on a big, World Series, division futures, all that, against a team that, if you follow me on Twitter, getting trolled a little bit. I had some good friends, some guys I sports bet with that were big on the A's. I wasn't feeling it preseason. Padres have had a resurgence. A's having a good season. Massive weekend series here in terms of what it'll be, both divisional places for each team, bragging rights that I've got on the line. I'm going to be looking for a couple of Padres prices this weekend. I think they've really put it together. The lineup is mashing. I like a couple of the pitching matchups. So again, we took the Padres the other night in the overnight minus 170. It closed minus 210. They got the win off a Tuesday show when we were talking about it. So again, it's got to be price effective here, but I'm going to be looking for a couple spots to play the Padres. I'm also going to be looking into Padres series price. I think it's a good spot for them to go up against the A's team that I think is just overvalued. They've been playing over their head versus a Padres team that's finally getting it rolling now, and I think can be a real contender in the NL. So it's two teams that just kind of align for me as Padres, some of a bye team, A's a little bit of a midseason fade. So there'll be a couple of games this weekend, and the series price I'll be looking to jump on.
Yeah, dude, it's looking very good for the Padres this season. I mean, currently sitting at number 2 in the NL West and number 2 in the National League overall. That's pretty impressive. And now, Knish, let's stick with the MLB and, of course, talk about some props. Like anything in the Padres game, I mean, take us through the players you have some money on this week.
Yeah, well, and again, it's going to be number-centric, but I'm going to be looking for a couple of the... I love the strikeout props. The MLB props guy, that's one thing. I'm looking at the strikeout props. The A's, a lot higher up there in the swing and miss rate. So I'm going to be looking, for a couple of the Padres starters here to come in. And if we can get the number is right, and again, those are ones that you usually got to jump on early. It doesn't take a lot of money to move these prop markets, so... when they come out, and it's usually, midday, whether it be in this weekend series, Saturday, Sunday, around, noontime in that, depending on when the game's going to kickoff of when those are going to drop. So there'll be a couple, and I'll be looking to tweet out a couple if we get the right price. But a couple of strikeout props here for an A's lineup that I'm not a huge fan of. I'm down on. I know they've had a couple of guys overperform. But again, it fits the same mold as what we were just talking about with the Padres as a bye team versus the A's. I'm just not there with Oakland's lineup. And I think we get a couple of the quality Padres starters going. They can maybe rack up some strikeouts. We'll be on a couple this weekend.
Well, all right. Knish says, once you see those lines on the strikeout props, strike while the iron is hot. And Joey, we are hours away from the NCAA football on TV, exactly 1 week away from the NFL, baby. Football is finally on the horizon. So tell us everything there is to know before we actually have football back. Advice from the guru Knish. Any final bets? What you got, Joey, baby?
I mean, we're lucky this is a short show here because I can talk for about 4 hours here about college football this week. That's how excited I am. And I know we got a little bit of a teaser tonight with a couple of games going. And we finally get the FBS, the big boys coming back this weekend before we hit the power conferences. But there's a couple of games I like on the slate. And the number one is Army Middle Tennessee State. You saw Middle Tennessee take some early steam. It opened up around 5.5. That came down. I'm buying on Army -3. Market's right around -3, -3.5, but there's still some threes out there. I like the Army quarterback upgrade. They changed. He's not as athletic, but Christensen, he can throw the ball a little bit more. I think Middle Tennessee is really going to struggle to defend this triple option. You haven't had a lot of practice time over the summer with all the COVID going on. The triple option is something that they don't see on the regular. They don't see it in conference. And now, you've got, especially I feel better about the military schools with their kids being in better shape. And again, neither schools had a ton of prep time, but it usually takes you, a good couple of weeks of prep to really get the triple option down if you don't see it on the regular. They don't have a great, defensive line or can overwhelm Army in the trenches. They're on the smaller side up front. So again, I just think the matchup here for Army is fantastic. And again, their defense, so the Middle Tennessee offense will get their plays, but I think when you can control the ball on the ground with a triple option, you just wear the opponent down. They can't stop you from getting first downs. They'll control the clock. So Army -3 or better for me. My favorite play of the weekend for college football.
All right, well, Knish says, go Army beat. Well, not Navy, but either way, look to take the point spread for the Army as college football gets started this weekend. Well, Knish, we're going to definitely have you, of course, come back on at the end of the show to get some fan questions in the mix and, of course, to get your best bet in there as well. But we're actually going to have to ask about the NFL player props and point spreads. It won't all be futures, so wild times. Knish, thank you so much for all that info. We'll see you near the end of the show. Again, we have a little game for you guys on top of our regular fan questions and best bets. I think you're gonna love it. But for now, we still have a lot of show, and we have to take a trip to the bright lights of Las Vegas, baby, and then into the Apex Center to see what's going down in the wild world of MMA. And whenever we talk MMA, we have our man Dave Milhouse, and of course, luckily, we have him today. So Dave, how's it going this week? How you feeling?
I'm doing great, Allie. How are you?
Oh, thank you for asking. None of the analysts ever ask me how I'm doing. I'm great, though, Dave. Obviously, very happy to be talking sports with you. And, of course, Dave, I understand you're going to be stealing Red Dave's professor's title this week, and you're going to give us a little bit of insight into how exactly you bet on MMA and combat sports in general. So, with that being said, Dave, why don't you start us off with a sort of basic rundown for the novice bettor about how you even approach betting on fights? Give us the basics here first and sort of, what you look for before placing a bet on a matchup.
Well, first of all, and there's a lot of places to start, but a good place to start is with the available statistics and then comparing them against the strength of the schedule, that they came from. And that's very important because beating up, Mike Tyson is totally different than beating up someone that doesn't belong in the UFC. And so your stat line will be skewed based on the strength of schedule. And that's the most important thing. I think people often just kind of miss that. They just look at the numbers and go, well, this guy's landing 7 strikes a minute. The other guy's landing 4. That's all I need to know. It's where those stats derive from. I think that's the most important. And secondly, that's definitely the most important part. Secondly, I like to look at stylistically. They always say styles make matchups, right? So is there one aspect of mixed martial arts that the opponent is much better than the other opponent at? and that could create a bit of a hole and what we like to call a clear path to victory. So those are the first two things that I think most people should start with. And that's where we'll start breaking down the main event. We ready for that?
Yes, absolutely. We're ready for that. And of course, okay, so we're going to start with things like average takedowns. We've got strikes per minute and striking accuracy. So these are what we want to be watching when it comes to, picking a matchup. And Dave, you touched on this Overseem Sakai matchup. So let's get into that a bit more. And of course, using your model, which side of the bet are you taking? And if you see any value here, tell me what your thoughts are.
Okay, well, first I'm just looking at, like you said, there's takedowns, there's striking accuracy, and how many strikes landed per minute. We got to comb through those and see how applicable they all are. In this fight, I don't see much wrestling going on. I don't think we have to worry about takedowns. If there was going to be an advantage in the takedown department, it would go to Overeem. He lands 1.4 per 15 minutes over his career to Sakai's 0.19. Basically never even attempts takedowns, and Overeem will mix them in, and he lands them at a 54% clip over his long career. So advantage there goes to Overeem. If we look at strikes landed per minute, this is the one where Sakai actually looks pretty good. According to the UFC stats, he's logged 5.45 significant strikes landed per minute at a 46% accuracy with a 55% defense. So a 55% defense means that 45% of the strikes are getting through. So he's landing 46, he's getting hit with 45. He's got a plus 1% in his striking accuracy versus expected striking accuracy. So to break that down, that's not a metric you'll find on many sites, but it's one I use. A general rule of thumb is that you give what you take in the UFC, and that'll have a lot to do with how much distance you keep between your opponent. So if you spend the whole fight in the clinch and you're landing 70% of your strikes, that's not that impressive for accuracy because it's hard to miss a guy that you're hugging at the moment, right? And vice versa, your opponent's probably going to hit you with a similar amount. So if you were landing 70% of your strikes, you would pretty much expect about a 30% defense rate, meaning you're both landing about 70. So Sakai is right where he should be. He's basically taking what he gets served on him. He's plus 1%. If we go over to Alistair Overeem, this is incredible. It's actually the best in the entire UFC. Doesn't matter what weight class. But Overeem's landing 63% with a 59% defense, which is a plus 22% on his accuracy versus expected, which, like I said, is number one in the whole UFC. It's actually incredible. For him to be landing any more than 41% is a bonus, and he's landing 63%. Now, most importantly is, where did all these numbers come from? Like I said, if Overeem's fighting Steve Urkel all the time, it's really not that impressive. But he's done it against top competition, all the top guys in the heavyweight division, and he's been doing this since I was a kid. He's been in the UFC for like 20 years, this guy. He's 40 years old now, still got the body of a Greek god. Yeah, he is declining a little bit. His chin is a little bit more questionable, but he's still fighting at a very high level. And we go to the flip side here, Augusto Sakai, he hasn't really fought anybody that's good. He's fought very average UFC competition. And, he put up a lot of these numbers on 2 of his 4 fights. Now, we see he has his 5.45 strikes landed per minute. That came from beating the crap out of one guy and finishing another guy within a minute with a big flurry. So if you land 10 strikes in a minute, and that finishes the fight, you're going to get scored for 10 strikes a minute for the duration of the fight as your average strikes, right? That's not going to happen, but that is what happened in that one case. So he has a small sample size, and now it's skewed because he just landed a huge flurry against one guy. He put up over 100 on another. His other 2 were much lower in terms of pace, and they've all blended to this number. So I'm looking at this 5.45 like it's a little bit inflated, actually a lot inflated. And going back the other way here, Overeem's 3.66 landed per minute is against the top level of competition and is certainly not inflated. So the first thing I'm already looking to do now is to compare Overeem to Augusto Sakai's schedule and vice versa. Overeem is easily the best fighter on Sakai's schedule. So we can expect Augusto Sakai to underperform his UFC average stat line. Now, if we had a huge data pool, we'd be a lot more confident in this, and the numbers would obviously be far tighter and there'd be no edges to be found. but he is much, much better. So I find it very hard to believe that Sakai is going to outperform Sakai's normal average. And then flip it around. The same thing. Sakai is basically a bum if you go over Overeem's schedule. So I would expect Overeem to outperform his regular stat line. So even though he's already 22% more efficient, I think we actually have to bump that up a few percent because this level of competition isn't high enough for him, and vice versa, it is much higher for Sakai. So I'm looking for him to have about a 25, 28%, maybe even 30% edge in the striking department here. And to me, that's a great sign and a good place to start looking.
Dave, thank you so much for breaking that down, giving us all that insight. I mean, for me personally, I don't have the biggest area of expertise in MMA, so I feel like I learned a lot from that. I know the folks at home did as well, so we appreciate the insight. And again, for everybody at home, hopefully that will, let you into the world of MMA betting a little bit more, and of course, open up both you and your wallets to new opportunities in the sports betting world. So again, thank you so much for that, Milhouse. We really appreciate that. And we'll definitely see you back in a little bit for some fan questions and, of course, to get your best bet. But before we take it to the fans, let's take it to the bubble for a little bit of basketball from the association. And like I mentioned at the top of the show, we have a new analyst joining us here to talk some NBA. We've got Ronnie Parsons. So Ron, welcome to the show, man. Nice to have you. How you doing?
Wait, I'm not America's sweetheart, Allie? That kind of hurt. That hurt.
You know
Allie.
what?
That hurt.
Me and Knish, we got a friendship going, Ron. I'm going to have to get to know you a little bit more, so you're going to have to come on the next show, and we'll talk there, all right?
We'll talk then. That's fine, Allie. That's cool. What up, Allie? What's going on?
Oh, just hosting a show and whatnot. Happy to have you. Happy to have you here. But, of course, we're happy to have you on, man. I couldn't say that enough. We just appreciate new faces, new opinions over here. And, of course, the guys told me, you know your stuff when it comes to the NBA, which is perfect because it is playoff time. Whether you know it or not, it is here, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So after last night, the Rockets advanced much to the delight of Joey Knish. We finally have our full second-round bracket, and the Heat and the Bucks are, of course, paired up as well. And the Raptors-Celtics tip-off, that is just 2 hours away. Boom, a lot going on. Gotta love it. And we're going to stick with that Celtics game for our first topic here, Ron. Who do you like tonight to take the win? Do you see the Celtics putting it up to 3-0? Or, do the Raptors start fighting back? And, of course, give us any of those bets that you have on tonight's game. Share it all with us.
Absolutely. Listen, the best sports quote I ever heard in my entire life was from Rudy Tomjanovich. Don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion. So why are we underestimating the Toronto Raptors? People are acting like it's over. It's not over yet, people. It is not over yet. Last year, they were down 0-2 against the Bucks, and what happened? They came back and won. The Bucks are a team. They got to win this. This is game 3. It's win or die. If they lose this, they're going home. They're not going back to 0-3. There's no way they're coming back. So my money is on the Raptors. And here's the thing, guys. Game 1, yeah, it was a blowout. I admit that. I'm glad, too, because I took the Celtics. Thank you, Joey Knish. Appreciate the help with that one right there. But the thing is, Game 2, the Raptors were up by 8 after 3 quarters, and they just had a meltdown in the 4th quarter. Otherwise, they could have won that game. And their best players played like crap. Like, honestly, Siakam, I love Siakam. In the first round, my man's averaging 20 and 8, shooting 42% from the field. The past 2 games, he's 15 points a game, 5 rebounds, shooting 34% from the field. That is not the Siakam I know. My main man, Freddie Van Fleet. God, I love that name. Say it 3 times. Freddie Van Fleet, Freddie Van Fleet, Freddie Plan V. That is hard to say. 21 in the first round, 52% from the field, 55% from downtown. What's he doing now? 15 points, 28% from the field, 22% from threes. That ain't going to cut it. It's not going to work. But that was the first 2 games, and they still kept a close game, too. And my main man, Kyle Lowry, 0 from 7 from downtown. That ain't going to happen again. So I'm taking the Toronto Raptors -1.
All right, yeah, well, a couple of the guys have had Boston to go the distance in this bracket, so either for the conference or championship, and we'll see what happens with that. But if they keep playing it like this, I like those odds more and more. So, Ron, coming in backing the Raptors, really.
So Alex, the Celtics will win the series.
So I want to talk about the Celtics a little bit, too. Yeah,
they're going to win the series. Don't get it twisted. They're going to the NBA Finals, no doubt, all right? But I'm saying for this game, game 3, do or die, how can you bet against the Toronto Raptors? You can't. At -1, guys, come to the bank with me. Get in my car. I will pick you up. We going to the bank.
Ron, can I want to just give you my address off air so I can make sure I can go to the bank with you and cash in. But of course, Ronnie, to make and to make the folks at home a little more money, because that's essentially what this show is all about, education and getting your wallet nice and big. We have game 1 of the Clippers and Nuggets tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. So the Clippers are heavily favored in this matchup, of course, sitting at minus 1250 earlier today. Who do you like in game 1, and who do you like across the series line?
Okay, Allie, I'm gonna be real with you here. I can't trust a team that got blown out by 37 points. Like, I know, I play ball. I got my ass kicked a lot of times. It happens. But by 37 points against Utah game 3, they quit. They quit on us. And I'll be honest, man, like, I've lost so much money with the Denver Nuggets. I don't know what team's going to show up. You got a nice young team. You got Jokovic who's killing it. But who's going to show up, man? You know what it's like? It's like the cheating boyfriend who got caught, all right? The girlfriend catches him, so he's begging the girlfriend back. He's cooking dinner for her. He's buying her flowers. He's taking her out to eat. He's on his best behavior. But guess what? The girlfriend will never look at him the same. It's over. The trust is gone. And that is me with the Denver Nuggets. The trust is gone. I will never bet on the Denver Nuggets ever, ever, ever again. And I advise people the same thing. I can't with this team. I can't. And honestly, NBA Twitter, if you're listening, if you're watching, you got to relax on the Jamal Murray talk. Like, I got people comparing him to Michael Jordan, Allie. People are comparing Jamal Murray to Michael Jordan on Twitter. Guys, relax, chill out. He's doing a great job. He's grabbing 31 a game. He's killing it. But I call it the bubble effect. Like TJ Warren, scores 18 points a game in the regular season. In the bubble, he's dropping 35. I don't think Jamal Murray's that good. I'm sorry. Like, he's playing great, but he's not that good. And are you telling me he's going to do that against DeClaw and Pat Bev? Nah, not at all. 8.5 is a lot of points, but I can't bet on the Denver Nuggets. I just can't do it. And they went through a grueling 7-game series. I mean, they won by 2. So emotionally, they're fried. They're physically fried. I can't see them winning this game. I'm not touching this one because I don't really like game 1s. But if I had a gun to my head, I got to take the Clippers winning by double digits. I was going to take the series bet, Allie, but it's minus 1,700, which means you got to put down $1,700 to win $100. That's not the smartest thing to do. So I'm going to probably bet on game 2 or game 3, see how the series goes. But tonight, nah. But what I did take, Allie, was the Los Angeles Clippers to win an NBA championship at plus 230. There is no team that's going to beat them. I'm sorry, Knish. I don't know what you think about that, but Clippers ain't losing, man. They ain't losing. They're too good. Sorry.
Well, Ron, I love that you mentioned the bubble effect. Honestly, like, we got to talk about more, putting some patents on that, because there's definitely some sort of bubble effect going down there, and my goodness. But with the odds favoring the Clippers so heavily, it is going to be tough to find value in the series line. So if you want to pick up a bet on the Clippers, it's going to have to be for the finals and the Clippers to take it all home. But of course, to take it home for us on the NBA, Ron, we have the huge matchup of Rockets and Lakers that starts on Friday. So take us through this. Who do you see advancing? Do you like Joey Knish's pick for the Rockets to take it all, or does the Houston train stop here in the second round? What are your thoughts?
Joey, you're my boy, and I love you, man. You're my boy. But the Rockets are in trouble. They are in trouble. Listen, Game 7, must win. Your best player on the court goes 4 for 15, shooting 34% from downtown, and you think they're going to beat the Los Angeles Lakers? Bro, come on, man. That ain't happening. And again, NBA Twitter, I'm really calling you guys out today. Could we chill with the James Harden talk? Like, really? He's the best shooting guard in the league? Yeah, okay. He's the best shooting guard in the league, shoots 4 for 15 in the Game 7. Please, stop it. Look, Russell Westbrook, I know he's coming off an injury. Dude, he looks bad, man. He looks bad. He is a turnover machine. He's 16% from threes. He's shooting 50% from the free throw line. I did not stutter. The man is shooting 50% from the free throw line. And you think he's going to stop the GOAT? Nah, guys, I'm sorry. No, I'll be honest. Like, I agree with Joey. I had the Rockets at plus 400 to win it all, to win the Western Conference. Because after the first 2 games of the OKC series, like, the Rockets were killing it, man. Like, when they're on, they are on. Like, you can't touch them. That small ball works. But when they are off, oh, my God, it is ugly. It is very ugly when they're off. They are the definition of do or die by 3. I think the Lakers are going to do a gentleman's sweep. I mean, answer me this, Allie. Who's going to stop Anthony Davis? PJ Tucker? PJ Tucker? Nah, man, sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I love you, Knish, man, but LeBron is going to the Western Conference Finals in a gentleman's sweep, 4-1. Remember it, book it. Ronnie P said it here first.
Wow, that's official. Well, hey, Ronnie P said it here first. And of course, Ronnie P says the Rockets will finally run out of fuel and fall to LeBron and the Lakers in the second round. So unfortunate for those of us with bets for the Rockets to take the championship home. Knish. But here we are. So thank you so much for that, Ron. Of course, we'll see how those bets pan out the next time we have you on. But for right now, we're going to bring you back and, of course, have our other two analysts on again and answer some questions from our fans. Get your best bets and, of course, play a little fun game. So let's do it. Welcome back, gentlemen. We got Joey and Milhouse joining us. And now that the family is all back together in one happy family, we are, no matter what our disagreements are, boys, okay? We got a lot of ground to cover, including your best bets and, of course, fan questions, just like I mentioned. But first, we have another game for you guys. Today, we're going to play some bets and test your natural gambling instincts, I guess. And for today's side, bet action, we're going to take it to the six-sided ring for some MMA. Yes, so Milhouse, you should have the advantage here with, of course, that big fight expertise. Now, fighting in the black, white, and red, we have Ivan Vasiliev, 32 years old, 5'10", 178 pounds, and a record of 11-2. Now, he's fighting Sergey Yukolov in the white and green, who's 31, 2 inches shorter, standing at 5'8", and 182 pounds, and with a record of 6-1. With all those stats, gentlemen, it is time to place some bets. So, Milhouse, based on the information alone, I need your pick of who you're going with. Let's give the other guys a shot by having you go first.
I can't possibly make a pick based on these numbers, but I'll go with Yukolov. He's got the M1 gloves on, so at least I know he's
more Russian, but it's fine.
Oh, Yukovlov. Sorry, that's really bad. That's just embarrassing. But we'll take those M1 gloves. At least we know he's fought real competition. I don't know who either of these guys are, so anyone's guess is as good as mine.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Ronnie, just use your best intuition or maybe flip a coin, but hey, give us a pick either way.
Listen, any man named Sergey, you don't mess with. So I'm going with my man Sergey Yukolov. Did I say that right? Or
amazing, amazing. Loving it. Now, Knish, you're up, buddy. Which side do you like and why? Go.
I mean, I hate to go 3 for 3 here, but the guy on the left that I'm looking at looks like he's just got punched in the face 30 times, and the guy on the right looks like he's killed 4 people. So I'm going to go with the guy that looks like I wouldn't want to meet in a back alley versus the guy that looks like a beat-up science teacher. So I get that's my expert analysis. That's about as much as I know about low-level Russian UFC is this guy on the right looks like, just looking at me, he'd kill me. So I'll go with Yukolov.
All right, well, don't lock eye contact. We don't want to lose you here, Knish, but lock all of those bets in. Of course, we've got those bets locked in. Everyone's going with Yukolov. I'm going to go with the other guy just to kind of turn things around. And now that we have that in, let's check out this match. And, of course, let's see a little bit of perfectly normal MMA right here.
Oh, they're gonna. This is. I was gonna. What is this?
Corgi racing,
must
boys.
Be a Russian. Some
baby.
No, what?
How do you win? Do you kill the other guy, or how does?
Yeah, I think you might actually have to kill the guy. Is that our boy on top? Establishing some ground and pound position here. Get him.
I don't know which guy's which.
I don't know why every UFC event doesn't open with one of these.
Yeah, I like this one on a hill in the mountains in the background.
Wow, so I'm not sure about you guys, but I'm pretty sure that was some sort of a knockout. I mean, it's hard to tell, like, with the helmet action going on, but our director, Chris, says that was, in fact, a win for Sergey Yukolov in the green and white. So, man, you guys all win against me. Okay, whatever.
Little consensus pick there.
There we have it, guys. We never know what's going to happen on In the Crosshairs, but that does it for now. And of course, we're going to jump from fight night to some questions from our fans. You like that little riddle Chris threw in the teleprompter? I got you, Chris. Professional. Well, remember, if you want your question answered on the show, we are so happy to do so. Just hit us up on social media at LineSniperHQ, and we will definitely get that question answered on the next show. It is that simple. We love you. And we're going to start, of course, with the new guy, Ronnie Peace. You're going to have a question here from Marcus in New York City. He wants to talk local sports. With the addition of Steve Nash as the Brooklyn Nets head coach, how do you like them next season? Playoffs again? Conference title? Future NBA champs? What you think, Ron?
I love it. I mean, I think of when the Golden State Warriors hired Steve Kerr. People laughed at it. You never coached before. What's you doing? Well, Steve Kerr's got a lot of championship rings now. And let's be honest, any one of us could coach the Nets. KD, score. Kyrie, score. You know what I mean? Like, I really do love it. And I'll be honest, as a Sixer fan, I'm really scared of the Nets next year. I'm very, very scared. And I think Nash is a Hall of Famer. He's a great point guard. Point guards are the floor general on the court. Shout out to my daughter, Leah, floor general. Dude, they're going to go far, man. And Steve Nash is the guy to take them there. I love it.
I'm excited too. I'm so fired up, but thank you so much for that, Ron. Now, next we're going to take it over to Milhouse, and I have a question here from Gabby. When do you think the UFC will start having events out of the Apex, and are we going to see bigger cages again, or is the smaller cage size the only one right now?
I guess when the COVID is done with, we'll be back to traveling and fans, and they'll move around. The only reason it's the small cage right now is because that's what they have built in this UFC Apex. It's just an easy solution, no extra money, you don't have to tear anything down. But that's not a plan going forward. So they'll have a normal size cage as soon as they're back to traveling. And I would guess that's somewhere around New Year's. That would just be a guess. I have no idea.
All right, well, hey, your guess is better than mine, man. And of course, you're covering a lot of different MMA topics here this week, but that's why we love you, of course. And now, Joey Knish, your question comes from Alex, and Alex wants to talk a little college ball. They'd asked, I'd love to get y'all's take on Bama and Nick Saban. So is there free money on them to win the SEC? Joey, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. Now, you saw UGA starting quarterback Jamie Newman opted out for the COVID skit. And you've got LSU, which lost an incredible amount of talent, had a ton of opt-outs. Florida, I think, is the team to come out of the East, but can they really challenge Alabama in a conference title? I think if there's one team that's going to give them a run, Texas A&M's got a lot. They're pretty loaded. They got a ton coming back. Jimbo's finally started to get it rolling a little bit there. But in the end, I just think it's too soon for them to overtake Bama. And again, they're probably sailing to another SEC East title. If there's any value, it would be on a Florida at a little bit of a price. That's come down now, is to come out of the East, and maybe you get them in the a little bit of value there in the SEC title versus Bama. But in the West, Auburn lost too much. A&M, I think it's a little early. Roll Tide's going to take it again this year.
All right, Knish, thank you so much. And for those of you at home, thank you so much for writing those questions. If you have more, just drop them at Line Sniper HQ on all of our socials. But before we wrap up here, gentlemen, I need one last thing from you, and that is your best bets of the week. So, Ron, you're new here, so you don't have to go first this time. But what we're looking for here is your number one bet of the week. Literally any sport, any game, anything that comes to mind that you want to place your money on. So, Joey Knish, you're going to start us off, man. What is your best bet? Give it up.
I'm going to double up and then add in a prop from I said Tuesday, Tiz the Law was the banger for the Derby of the weekend. If you haven't gotten your Tiz the Law in yet, anything minus 120, minus 125 or better, get it. It's not going to be there race day. Morning line, I'm looking at 3 to 5, which is minus 160-ish. There are some futures out there, minus 115, minus 120. Get it in. Also, a prop I liked on the Derby today was the first half mile over 45.9 seconds. The only horse, we believe that King Guillermo looks like he's going to get scratched with the only lead horse that could probably hit that number. Any other horse that gets out front, including Tiz, is going to pace it for the first half mile, slow the race down, and then look to explode on the back stretch. 45.9 is too short. Should likely be around 47. So if you can find that, I found some, offshore today. If you look around different books, find some that are a little stale on that prop. 45.9, I take it up to minus 140, minus 160, minus 180. That's going to go over for a little Derby prop there, along with Tiz the Law to win.
All right, so Knish is saying, don't hold those horses when it comes to betting. Milhouse, go ahead next. What you got for us, sir?
Let's finish off where we left off at the UFC Apex. I like Alistair Overeem minus 150. As we were talking about, he's got a massive advantage in the striking department, probably about a 25-28% advantage, which is huge. We don't see any stylistic nightmares here. Augusto Sakai can't wrestle him down, submit him. He basically can either outwork him, which seems highly unlikely given the better cardio advantage for Overeem, who has also had his last 4 fights be scheduled for 5 rounds, and Sakai's never been past round 3, where he usually starts looking like he's gassing a bit. So that pretty much leaves us with getting knocked out at a minus 150 line. I think that's just too good to be true here, given the circumstances. So yeah, Alistair Overeem all day at minus 150, all the way up to minus 200.
Cool. Thanks so much, Dave. All right, Ron. So that is the kind of action we're looking for. So best bet of the week.
Yeah.
Where are you putting your money? Talk to us, man.
Listen, I'm really sorry, guys. Philadelphians, I'm really sorry. I'm from outside Philadelphia, and I'm going to get spit on the street when my friends see me. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry, but the Islanders ended tonight. The Flyers blew a 3-1 lead. They barely got lucky and won that one. Islanders are the better team. Their pattern is the second chance. They always eliminate teams. Did with Washington, did with Florida, and tonight's going to be the Flyers. So my best bet is Islanders minus 115. If you're brave and bold, do a little parlay action. Islanders and Raptors minus 1. That's at plus 225. Thank me tomorrow. Drive to the bank, Allie. Let's go.
Ooh, all right, well, pick me up. So that is the best bets from across the wide world of sports. So thank you so much for that, gentlemen. And of course, thank you all at home for watching. Hopefully that wins y'all some money this weekend. That's what this is all about, right? But that is going to be everything we have for you on this episode. And of course, if you want more of these analysts and of course, more of the best game-by-game analysis around, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Line Sniper HQ, and you can find everything sports betting and more right there. So join us once again next week for even more of the very best sports betting content, insight, and expert picks. But that is next week. So for now, this has been In The Crosshairs, brought to you by LineSniper.com, your definitive resource for sports betting content and in-game analysis. For the team here in the studio, I'm Ali Melendez. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Take care.